Hello and welcome to Cereal at Midnight. I'm Heath, and in this episode we're talking about the new 4K release of Saturday Night Fever. This is the 1977 disco movie that launched John Travolta into superstar status. This movie made him an icon. Look at the rainbow effect going on with the cover art. What do we think about this cover art, by the way? This is another new release of a classic movie that basically just has clip art as the cover. I have opinions. But the movie itself is great. So here's what we're going to do. I have a lot to say about the movie. I think that the movie is the most important thing when reviewing a film. Review the film. We're also going to talk about the 4K quality because it's controversial. This is a Paramount release. Paramount puts out controversial 4Ks. And then what special features are here? What's been carried over from a previous edition? But I want to start by talking about the power of Saturday Night Fever. It's a great movie, but it's a dark movie. The reputation of Saturday Night Fever is, all the disco music and the Bee Gees and, staying alive and bam, just walking and having a good time. But it's ultimately a very nihilistic, depressing film. It's New York City in 1977. It's not unlike the New York City of the Warriors just a few years later. New York City is a violent, dangerous place. People can die. People do die. We've got a crisis of faith here. There's a priest that has left the faith. All this is the undercurrent. And John Travolta plays a character he's 19 in the film, but I think he was 23 in real life. Coming off of Welcome Back, Kotter. This is the most interesting thing to me. He'd been in Carrie. He'd been in The Boy in the Plastic Bubble. But those are, relatively minor roles. He's holding down this film. Coming off of Welcome Back, Kotter, which was a 4-season sitcom in the 70s. This is really during season 3. I guess he shot it before season 3 of Welcome Back, Kotter. So he makes this movie and becomes a superstar and then has to go back to Welcome Back, Kotter. Now, he didn't finish the whole season 4. He does about half of the episodes from season 4. Kills the show, of course. I think we see sort of the Wanted Dead or Alive situation, the Steve McQueen situation where your star becomes bigger than your show and has to go. But it's a really interesting story because this is Travolta on the cusp of absolute icon status. Before he would go on, Grease is a year after this. He's so good here. I wonder, for people that only knew him as Barbarino from Welcome Back, Kotter, Barbarino. He's dancing, he's laughing, he's like, hey, Mr. Kotter, I swear, what's going on with you? I don't know. This, cut up character, to go to this dark, sad, he's a terrible guy in this movie. He's misogynistic, he's mean, he's outright aggressive to women. He's pretty much outright aggressive to everybody. And he's trying to find himself. It's ultimately a coming-of-age story. But the road, it's a really heavy watch, as a lot of 70s movies are. So this image of just the dancing and all those great dance scenes. He is a great dancer. He gets to showcase all his dancing skills in this movie. But it's a serious movie, and it's really heavy. And when you finish it, you just kind of have to it's a heavy watch. But it's great. I think that it's a great film. I'm glad that it's been given a 4K release, but it's a controversial 4K release. Here's the thing. Paramount released this movie for its 30th anniversary in 2017 on Blu-ray from a 4K restoration. I suspect this is the exact same 4K restoration. They already had it in the vaults. Let's put that 4K out because the 4K market is so much healthier now than it was in 2017. But that 2017 transfer it's got great grain, visible grain structure. It's got really good colors. The 4K is a very different presentation. It's inconsistent because some scenes look great. There's a scene early in the movie where he goes into, a paint store. He's working in a paint store. He walks into the paint store and it's like, oh man, you can just make out everything. Everything's so sharp, so clear. But a lot of this movie takes place in dark, neon lit disco clubs or rooms with wood paneling. It's a very dark movie. And I don't know if it's just the way the movie was shot, but it has really high highs where it looks really clear and you're like, wow, this looks great. And then there are other scenes where it seems like it's been DNR'd. Honestly, it seems like there's been noise reduction applied. Things seem a little smeary, but this is another one of those movies. 70s movies would often have diffused they would use, lens diffusers to soften everything. We're talking about like the Vaseline effect. I don't think anyone was actually putting Vaseline on the camera lens. Maybe some people did, but it's, a filter to make everything soft and kind of that 70s glamour look, that after school special look. And so I don't know how much of it comes from that, but we often, because it does seem to coincide with the dance scenes or the training scenes. And then when he's in his life, his everyday, when he's going to lunch or when he's working, it's really clear, really sharp, and then gets real soft when he's doing his thing. But also, the color timing is a lot cooler. A lot of times HDR adds a lot of saturation, it makes things warmer. Not so here. After I watched it, so I watched this movie and I was like, well, it looks good. It's inconsistent, but it's definitely a step up from the Blu-ray in terms of the sharpness, in terms of detail, in terms of the grain. But again, inconsistent because it's not always there. Sometimes you're like, oh, this is great. And then sometimes you're like, is this Ultra HD? It's inconsistent, but it's still better than the Blu-ray in terms of sharpness. But the colors, so after I watched the 4K presentation, I was like, all right, let me pop that Blu-ray in. The Blu-ray included here is the 2017 Blu-ray, and it's like candy colored compared to the 4K. I mean, it's like, it looks like candy. And I don't know if I like that or not, to be honest with you. It seems, coming off of the 4K, for all the issues with smoothness or waxiness, I think I might like the color timing on the 4K better than the super bright, colorful Blu-ray presentation. And as I'm saying this more and more in my reviews, because we need to be aware of this, HDR is a new tool. Movies were not made with HDR. HDR is a new thing that is being applied retroactively to movies that have already been color graded, they've already been color timed, and they've been meant to look a certain way. So the question then becomes, does the HDR keep the tradition of what the movie's supposed to look like, or is it revisionist? Is it just changing things because they can? I don't know here. I do think I like the more... It fits the movie, if that makes sense. It's a dark movie. Tonally, it's a dark movie. And it's not like it's, it's not like I'm watching it through sunglasses. It's just, a little bit grayer. But it still looks good. The flesh tones seem more natural than I pop in the Blu-ray and everybody's got like pink rosy cheeks and stuff. So I don't know. Your mileage is going to vary. It really comes down to personal preference as far as the color timing goes. But all the special features. So the 4K has the theatrical presentation with the commentary from the director. The Blu-ray has the theatrical presentation and the director's cut, which is about 4 minutes longer than the theatrical cut. And it has the commentary. And it's also got a ton of the legacy special features from the 2017 30th anniversary edition. So 70s Discopedia, which is a pop-up feature, like pop-up video. Catching the Fever in HD, a 30-year legacy from 2007 that's been carried over in HD. Making soundtrack history in HD. Platforms. Here, I'm going to hold this up. It's very small print. Hopefully you guys can read that. I hate to read things to you when you can read things for yourself. Basically, a lot of things have been carried over. And if you don't have any edition of Saturday Night Fever, I feel confident recommending this to you because you're getting that 2017 Blu-ray with all those special features and you're getting the new 4K Ultra HD with whatever issues it comes with. Paramount discs have issues. I've even seen people saying that it's an encoding issue, that some of the inconsistency comes down to encoding. I'm not sure. I'm really not sure because I know sometimes we dismiss... the movies never looked great. That's the thing. The movies never looked great because of, the diffusing and the filters and just how dark it is, really. But this is probably the best it's looked on home media in some scenes. But then in other scenes, you're like, I don't know. It's inconsistent. It's hard to even review this thing because it's so inconsistent. But if you don't have it, I feel comfortable recommending this because you're getting both presentations. If you're upgrading from a previous Blu-ray, that's when it gets a little more complicated. If you've got the 30th anniversary edition and you like those bright colors, you're probably good just holding on to that. But if you don't, if you're like, well, if you don't like movies that look like candy, you might want to look into this. I like the color timing. What's up with the cover art, you guys? Why are we doing this? This is the thing now. Every single studio, it seems like, now the boutiques don't do this. Kino Lorber doesn't do this, and Arrow Video doesn't do this. But the studios, when they reissue these classics, they're like, and here's new cover art for you that doesn't look anything like, they've taken this iconic image, which was the cover for the soundtrack, and it was the poster of him, in the middle of his pose, but they've removed everything from it, and even the squares on the floor now look kind of like carpet in The Shining or something instead of the dance floor from Saturday Night Fever. I don't understand. I just really don't. Is the idea to trick buyers into buying something they don't think they have already? Is it supposed to be shelf appeal? Like, well, that white cover is really going to grab people's eyes. Maybe it will. Are people who are interested in Saturday Night Fever going to see this on a shelf and go like, well, I was going to buy that, but it's got original poster art, and that just looks old? I legitimately wonder what the people are thinking when they make these covers. This box art. Do you have any insider information? Do you have any theories? I would love to know what you think. Let's continue the conversation about Saturday Night Fever in the comments below. It's a fantastic film. It's a heavy watch, but it's one of the most defining movies of the 1970s. And I think that it probably belongs in every cinephile's collection. This is at least the third, maybe the fourth copy that I've owned now. And I think this is a fantastic movie. It's the movie that made John Travolta a star. Guys, thanks so much. Take care. Until next time, I will catch you later.